Hi Gemini, welcome to your September 2019 Astrology 33 bonus love reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And also just to let you guys know, I actually won't be doing personal readings for a bit. I'm most likely going to be resuming them around the time I start posting the October videos. But either way, when I do post those videos, I'll give you guys an update as far as if I will be resuming at that time or maybe a little bit after that. So just keep on lookout for that. And as far as this spread in front of us, for those of you who haven't seen this type of video from me before, this is actually what I call the bridging the gap spread. And the way it works is on the left side here, we have your energies towards the connection with your main love interest. On the right side, we have their energies towards the connection. These are the past energies, present energies, future energies. And then once we're done with all of those cards in the main spread, we'll actually pull some oracle cards for some additional insight. That's where the bridging the gap element comes into play. And as far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot. On the right side we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. Alright, so with all that out of the way, let's get started with the main spread. In the past position on your side, we have Wisdom. So this is actually the major arcana card that represents the High Priestess in the regular tarot. And for me, that's usually a Piscean type of energy. So this can be playing out a few different ways. This can just be saying that, you've been working on your intuition. Maybe with Uranus transiting your 12th house, for example, you might have gotten a lot more into spirituality. Or maybe even just been getting a lot more intuitive hits, whether you were seeking them or not. And that could be where that Piscean element comes into play. Or another way this could be playing out is to say that for you guys, Pisces is your 10th house. So this can just be saying that you, in the past, you really focused on career, maybe even trying to get an advanced degree in something, or maybe some kind of a certification in order to move up in your career. And for some of you, it could even be a combination of the two, which is to say that, maybe you guys were actually trying to learn something in the spiritual field, maybe trying to get certified for Reiki, yoga, maybe studying astrology, tarot, you name it. There's plenty of ways that could play out. And this could actually also be saying that maybe you had a mentor as well, because if we look at the sword there, for some of you, this could represent you in the background here, and maybe this is someone who's actually trying to teach you some of these things that might have come into your life recently. And lastly, what I would say too is this can just be saying that there might have been no communication between you and the person, your main love interest in the past, and maybe, you might have felt something was a bit off about the connection. So, you might have been a bit closed off when it came to communicating with them. All right. In the past, on their side, we have the Three of Chalices, which is the Three of Cups in the regular tarot. So, I always do bring this up as a generic thing for love reading. Normally, I don't see it this way, but you do have to at least allow for the possibility of a third-party situation with this card coming up in the past. But I don't necessarily see it that way. To me, the Three of Cups primarily, first of all, it's a Cancer energy. So if we're looking at a timeline, this can be something that started around the beginning of July of this year. And then on top of that, what I would say too is, to me, more than anything, the Three of Chalices represents more of like a long-standing connection, actually. So this can be someone that you've been dealing with for a long time, and maybe there was just a bit of a disconnect because maybe you were really focusing a lot more of your energy towards your career, and maybe this person was feeling a bit more amorous, and maybe that was where the disconnect was. Now, unfortunately, the side effect of that, of course, could have been that maybe they went seeking love elsewhere, right? So we do have to at least allow for that dynamic to be mentioned. What stands out to me, actually, with this card, too, is you see that egg there. And since this is a card of Cancer, you'd think of fertility and motherhood. So this can even be saying that maybe in the past there could have been a pregnancy involved. Now, whether that was with the person, if they were dealing with someone else, maybe they got someone else pregnant, or this could just be saying that between the two of you, that could have been the case as well. All right. In the present position on your side, we have the King of Coins. So this is actually the court card for Taurus. So once again, we're seeing some more 12th house energy at play, right, in that regard, because Taurus is your 12th house, and we spoke about Uranus But another way this could be playing out too, again with the wisdom card there, with the person with the book, this can just be saying that maybe for some of you, this is saying that whatever you were studying for, whatever certification, um, or advanced degree you're trying to get, maybe you've actually completed that recently. With the King of Coins showing up here, that could be one way it's turning out. And again, with that focus, since that was 10th house energy for you as well, this can just be saying that maybe you've advanced in your career in some way, shape, or form. And maybe you're feeling a bit more established in that area of life as well. I mean, you guys do have Cancer as your second house, and you have the North Node there, so that could be about taking on a bit more of that Taurus type energy for you guys as well, since that's your second house, and putting a bit more focus on finances and being a bit more goal driven in that area of life. So that could be the way that that's playing out for some of you. And then at the bottom of the deck as well, speaking of the Cancer energy and everything, we do have the Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck on your side. So this is actually a court card for Cancer. So again, we see that second house connection there again, with that being your second house. And we also see that tie that I was talking about with possible fertility, or maybe some of you are dealing with the Cancer as well. In the present position on their side, we have the Nine of Cups. So more cup energy. You could definitely be dealing with a water sign. We had Cancer energy here. Now we have Pisces energy. So that could just be saying that they're embodying that watery energy. Maybe, they're a bit more emotionally invested in the connection. That's another way that could be playing out as well. The Nine of Cups is often seen as the wish card. And what I will say here is another thing stands out to me that could be pointing to potential pregnancy as well, which is if we look at the table there, it looks like, if I can get it to focus. Let me see. Well, it's not focusing right now, but there is a pomegranate there with the seeds, and to me, the pomegranate actually sometimes is a symbol of fertility as well. So if we look at the egg there, right, initially is wrapped up in the past position, and now we see the opened up pomegranate. So there definitely could be pregnancy for some of you. If that's the case, I think that this would have been something that you guys were definitely aiming for. So this would be more for probably some of you might have been already connected, and there wasn't a third party dynamic. It was just that maybe you're really focusing on your career. And that might have even been why you were shifting your focus to finances, because you guys were planning on having a child, right? So you're like, all right, I really have to, try to advance in my career so we can actually financially support that decision. So that could have been what's playing out there. In the future position, though, what's interesting is we have the Seven of Arrows. So here's another one where we could give the generic definition, right, and say that this could be you now actually involved in some kind of a third party dynamic. But what stands out to me with this one, well, for those of you who watch my general readings, and when I discuss the Seven of Swords, you might have heard me say this before, but sometimes I see this as not necessarily an infidelity thing, but more of those two arrows here, and in the case of the regular Rider-Waite, it's two swords. With the two in the ground there, I view that more as like that represents the relationship itself. And then these five things are other interests. So this can just be saying, not necessarily other people, but especially if your focus was heavily on career, right? This can just say that you haven't been giving your all to the actual relationship itself, because you've been maybe focusing too much on finances, right? Or focusing on whatever you were doing in school, whatever the case may be, depending on your specific situation. So that's the way I could see that playing out. And obviously, we have to at least put it out there. Out of an entire zodiac sign, are there possibly going to be Geminis that will be doing this in the future? Absolutely, right? So I would say, though, be mindful and watch out for that, because, like I said, I haven't seen that pregnancy vibe going on there. So definitely want to be careful with that. But yeah, so that could be one way it's playing out. But what always stands out to me with this particular deck and the artwork here, the person doesn't look like, if you look at her face, she doesn't look very pleased, right? So this can just be saying, maybe you haven't established a long-term relationship because maybe you have had your focus on other areas of life, and yeah, maybe you've been sleeping around with people, right? But maybe it just hasn't been fulfilling for you. That could be one way it's playing out, and that could be how that Queen of Cups is playing out for some of you as well at the bottom of the deck, saying that deep down you do want something more fulfilling, a more emotional long-term connection, but maybe, you feel like all you've been able to get really is more casual connections up to this point. All right, and then the future position on their side, we have the Five of Wands and the Seven of Cups. So now we have three water energies, and all three water signs represented at this point too. We have Cancer in the past, Pisces, and now we have a Scorpio card. But what I'm actually seeing this as, combined with that Five of Wands, and we do have the Moon on the bottom of the deck on this person's side as well. This, I would say, especially if you're in a relationship, be careful about potential gossip within the connection, because why I say that is I look at this person here, right, and they're watching the other two people, and I don't know, something about their vibe just seems a bit shady to me. Like, looks like he's reaching for that sword, right, and that almost makes me think of the Seven of Swords in the Rider-Waite. And then with the Seven of Cups there, this can just represent that, we think of the Five of Wands and we think about competition, right? There's multiple people trying to get the same thing. So this can be someone like an outsider who's actually trying to interfere with your connection. So that's why I say watch out. I mean, obviously this is energy on their side, but what I would say is just be careful of rumors kind of spinning things out of control for you guys, right? Because let's say that someone wants to get with your person, so they tell them, oh, I saw, Gemini with so-and-so doing XYZ, right? And then that might throw them into confusion, and, maybe they start acting weird around you, like, what the hell's going on, right? So then you might assume something on their side, because they might be in both their ears too, and then you might do something stupid, thinking that, oh, well, an eye for an eye kind of thing, right? Especially with that Three of Cups in the past, because maybe there was rumors that this was, they were dealing with someone else, but that might not have even been the case at all, right? Because we have the Moon at the bottom of the deck, which some people see the Moon as deception, but to me, I always say that it's not really about deception, especially in the upright. It's just more about having to feel things out a bit more. The example I always give is if you're in a well-lit room, you could easily navigate around that room, right, with no problem, even if you're not familiar with the room. But if someone turns the light off, then you're going to have a lot of difficulty getting around the room if you're not familiar with it. So you might, have to feel your way around to make sure you're not bumping into things, knocking things over, right? So when I see the Moon in the upright, I see, again, pointing to the intuition we were talking about with the 12th house energy, Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck. This can just be saying you have to rely on your intuition. And there is going to be that full moon in your 10th house of Pisces in the middle of the month as well. And that'll be kind of squaring Jupiter in your 7th house too, so definitely could impact your relationships in that regard, where there might be people trying to spread rumors. And what's even more interesting about that is on the underneath that we have the Four of Chalices. I'm not going to go through the bottom of the decks forever, but this particular card, which is another Cancer card, by the way, but this always stands out to me as really shady looking. Like, if we look at those two people, it looks like they're up to no good, you know what I mean? And then I look at the sword there, not the sword, the scissors there, rather, with the magnet, and it always makes me think of maybe someone's trying to cut ties between someone else, right? But with that magnet there, I would say it might not succeed, right? I feel like that's the symbolism I get with those two things together like that. So it's like they might try to break it up, but it may not work. So in that regard, I guess it would be a moot point for me to tell you to watch out, right? Because it looks like it wouldn't succeed anyway, even if they did try to break you guys up. But definitely be wary of that. And maybe around the time of that full moon, you might see things from a different perspective as well. In your general readings, I mentioned it too. There's so much energy in Virgo, which is a fellow mutable sign like yours. And then as all those planets are moving through Virgo, they're squaring Jupiter, they're opposing Neptune. So there's going to be a lot of energy going on in the mutable signs with all those transits. So, that could be what's at play there too, where things might come to light. And then let's say, especially like I was saying, if something happened around the beginning of July, and all the Uranus energy we see here with the 12th house stuff for you, it could even point to, maybe things that you saw one way, or maybe someone told you, oh, this person was doing this and that. with all of the squares happening between the planets and Uranus, now they're actually going to be trining as they move through Virgo. So you might actually see things from a better perspective now. Maybe that's what that's saying, almost a graduation, if you will, even though the major arcana is higher than the court cards, but just the way it progresses to me is saying that, okay, you've mastered that intuitive side. That could just be saying that that's what's going on there. Maybe something might not add up for you, or maybe even for the other person you're dealing with, where the person who might be spreading rumors between the two of you, you might find a hole in their story. It might make you look at things like, wait a minute, something's not adding up, Like I said, just, I don't know, for some reason that's coming out to me. We'll see if the Oracle cards support that, or if they tell me that I'm totally on the wrong path with that. But first we'll see if we get some additional messages from the Mystic Moon Oracle deck I have here. And what I do is I pre-shuffle this deck before the reading, and then what I like to do is pull jumpers from here. So if we get any jumpers, we'll go with them. If not, since this is a general reading, I'll just take that as a sign that there were no additional messages, and we'll just keep moving to the next Oracle deck. So first one, I'll be looking for additional messages from you toward them. And like I said, I'll shuffle for a bit. If nothing's coming up, I'll just take that as a sign to keep moving. But for those of you who are wondering what the personal readings actually do, pull a card in all scenarios for those. Alright, I'll give it a few more shuffles, see if we get anything. If not, we'll move on. Oh, got two for you. And now we'll see if we have any from them toward you. Alright, nothing yet, but we'll give it a few more shuffles, see if we get anything. Oh, there we go. Got two from them as well. Alright, so let's see what we have. First one we have is, I'm finally feeling the consequences of my actions. And we have, your beauty still moves me. So interesting. So I'm finally feeling the consequences of my actions. Another way all of this 12th energy can be playing out can be self-sabotage. And then we could see that more with the Seven of Arrows too, possibly pointing to self-sabotage. So maybe these energies that play with, like I said, all of those trines happening to Uranus in your 12th house, and also that full moon in Pisces, while it's not your 12th house, it's the natural 12th house. So maybe you'll get some insights this month, and with Jupiter now going direct again in your opposite sign, which is the house of relationships, maybe all of those aspects at play will actually maybe help you see ways where you might have been getting in your own way in your love life. So that could be how that's playing out, and maybe that's making you come back around to the person from your past, maybe, and say, hey, yeah, maybe I was being an asshat in the past, right? For some of you anyway, maybe not for all of you, but that came out for a reason, I feel, right? And then your beauty still moves me. I mean, there's not really much to add to that, right? Obviously, there would be someone that you are attracted to, and, that could just be you wanting to reconnect with them in that way. So let's see what their messages are for you. I can't seem to find the right words to say to you is one. And then, I feel badly for the way I treated you, that you didn't deserve that. Interesting. So here again. So I can't seem to find the right words to say to you, and I feel badly for the way that I treated you. You didn't deserve that. Okay. So these two seem to work better together than those other two. Like I said, your beauty still moves me, doesn't really move things one way or the other, right? But here, with those two together, that can actually increase the possibility that maybe in the past there was some kind of a third-party dynamic going on. Because I can't seem to find the right words to say to you. That could mean anything, right? That could just mean maybe the person's nervous around you, they're unable to express their feelings for you, right? But then and that can be the case for some of you, maybe that's all that the person is dealing with. But then for others of you, if we add that extra element of I feel badly for the way I treated you, you didn't deserve that, yeah, there definitely could have been some deception. And for some of you, if that's the case, this could actually be coming out where, someone might inform you of that, and it might actually be true that, yeah, this person was dealing with multiple people. So unfortunately, well, we'll see if the extra Oracle deck brings more insight into that possible scenario, but I was going to say, unfortunately, with these 12 house things there, you're really going to have to rely on your intuition more than anything to see if that adds up, if that is what someone has told you. But seeing those two cards come out, it definitely is a possibility that for at least some of you, someone might have been a bit deceptive. And maybe this full moon is going to bring that out now for you to see it. Or maybe they'll even come out and tell you. All right. And the next card we're going to pull is from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. For those of you who watch my general readings every month, this is one of the Oracle decks I've been using since day one, so you're probably used to that one. And same thing, I pre-shuffled this one, and we'll just try to get one more card here to wrap things up. Kind of an interesting reading, but like I said, with all the squares and oppositions going on, and you guys are pretty much the only sign as far as the mutables go without any direct activity going on. You can feel like things are coming at you from every angle this month, so we'll see what we get. And same thing here, I'll be looking for a jumper. Oh, there we go. All right, soulmate. So this is interesting, but there's the actual card, soulmate. There's the artwork, and the number is 41. So let's see what that has to say. I would say, if anything, for some of you, this could definitely be pointing to, like I said, if there does seem to be a dynamic where there might be outsiders trying to spread rumors between the two of you, definitely, you might have to really just discuss it to each other and see what's really going on. But yeah, we'll see what the actual messages say. I don't remember them by heart, so. It says essential meanings: harmonious partnerships, love, friendship, companionship, a relationship fostering personal growth. The Oracle's message: you are meant to evolve and transform with the companionship of others. Certain people enter into your life in order to take you to the next level of healing, consciousness, and authenticity. It is always a reciprocal experience, although the results for each of you will vary. You know these people by the strong pull drawing you toward them, and sometimes by a strong aversion to them initially too. Soulmates can be friends for life or remain in your life for only a short time. No matter what, you will be changing in ways you can't possibly fathom now. Pay attention to these people today. They are your greatest gifts. So what stood out to me there was the part where it said, sometimes you notice them by a strong aversion to them initially too. So again, like I said, for those of you, maybe there was a self-sabotage dynamic. Maybe you catch wind of that this month and finally you're able to break that cycle. All right, the relationship message says, consider love in the deepest sense. Love so powerful that you will never be the same, regardless of how long your relationship lasts. Consider friendships and romantic bonds so compelling that they overwhelm you with gratitude, or break you open so you will finally claim who you were meant to be. Even a companion animal reminds you that it is you who is being rescued and healed. Pay attention, for you are in the presence of a soulmate, come to guide you home to the real you. So that's interesting there, because that almost takes me back to what I was saying before too, where for some of you this could even be a mentor, right? Where maybe you're kind of new to the whole spiritual thing, and maybe this is someone who's been there, done that, right? And maybe to actually help you learn in some way, shape, or form. But just in general, that definitely seems to be a positive message. Like I said, I was getting that vibe there where, Unfortunately, for some of you, yes, it could definitely be that there was deception at play and maybe some third party dynamics. For others of you, though, be mindful of the source, I would say, and like I said, if all else fails, just try to flat out communicate with the person and see what the deal is. And if you find holes in one story versus the other, I guess trust your intuition there to see, what's real, what's not. But just be mindful of that potential deception dynamic from an outsider. All right. We'll wrap up there, guys, and I'll see you all next month. Bye.